Okay, we've talked about the first 3 weeks, and some of our farms are getting into actually the 4th and 5th week of breeding, and we need to measure. We need to have some measure on how successful that first couple of weeks of breeding was. What sort of numbers do you use? How do you approach that when people are panicking? Maybe, oh my God, there's too many cows coming back on a Monday or whatever.
So I suppose what we're talking about is the conception rate or the non-return rate. So how many cows do we expect to come back into heat? With cows, you're hoping for a 60% conception rate. If you're down at 55, that's acceptable. If you're above 60, you're delighted. You're doing really well. So just take 60. So if you just maybe get someone to pull off, your vet or your advisor can do it, pull off for yourself. Pull off maybe how many cows were bred in the first 7 or 8 days, and how many of them, if you use a 60% conception rate, how many of them are you expecting back in, and divide it by 7 to get how many cows you're expecting back in every day for the first week.
And that's something that Munster have done with Farm Ops. They actually give you how many cows are due for serve.
Exactly. So there's, I suppose, that heat's expected per day. That's usually a 60% conception rate actually. So as day 18 comes and the first cows are due back in, it starts calculating and adding those cows into the mix. So how many heats are expected, takes in the expected repeats, and if there's still some cows to be served, the first serves that are due back in. And I suppose there's also the due repeat, the 18 to 24 days of that list of cows. Yeah.
So we have a couple of lists of cows to work off. So the first thing is we can pull the breeding chart profile off ICBF and start looking at 8-day windows in there. I always look at an 8-day window. And we can see how many cows are coming back to us. The other thing then, if we use those sort of metrics off Farm Ops, and if there's more animals being served than that's telling you, then we're starting to run into trouble. That there could be a problem. How are we going to solve it? Let's say there is more coming back to us. What should we do?
Yeah, sure. If there's more coming back, it means the conception rate was lower than you would have liked for the first 3 weeks. So was it a cow issue? Was it a heat detection issue? Was it the male side of the house? So you have to, I suppose, explore all these possibilities. The first place you'd probably look at is the cow, as regards were they cycling, what was the energy balance like, what's the body condition score, what's the health status, and then the heat detection, and maybe having a look at that and seeing what was the accuracy like, because if a cow is served and she's not in heat, she's not going to go on calf.
So that's back to that whole valid serve piece we're talking about. What's interesting, actually, I think the tendency I probably would have seen in the last couple of years and calls or dealing with people is that first service conception rate, certainly in mature cows, has come back. And I think the challenge we have is that we have cows that are a lot higher production. So even though we have a lower volume cows per se, with the solids that are being produced, the energy demand in our cows is quite high. So I'm really careful about that nutrition piece.
I suppose the vulnerable groups, if you want to call them that, are probably the first lactations. We spoke about the strip wire being up, they're the ones that are going to suffer, and also the mature cows that are really pumping out milk solids.
Absolutely.
And just under that bit of nutritional stress all the time. So they're probably the two vulnerable groups as regards nutrition.